So I think it's really great. That doesn't mean that a lot of music that gets listened to on the internet is good. I mean, because it's good. There's a good democracy to it now. Everyone has a level playing field, and everyone can kind of put their stuff out there. It's really interesting. I think the UK now is a really amazing climate for mainstream music. And when I say mainstream music, I mean everything from like the Guillemots to the Kooks to Lily Allen to that girl who won X Factor. Her name is Leona Lewis.
Leona.
It's that girl who won X Factor, Leona. Because, you know, over the past few years, we had a top 40 that was very misrepresentative of what people were really into, because people were downloading music that just wasn't getting accounted for. Often, download sites were so bad that, you know, it was so much easier to steal music. But now that the UK chart is taking in stuff that gets downloaded, we've got a UK top 40 that is much more representative of what people are actually into. I think that's really exciting, because you've got a top 10 that ranges from the Kooks to Lily Allen to Leona Lewis to me, and it's just kind of, it's so much more fun, you know.
Is it great to be able to reach out to so many people in one hit, not just in the UK but kind of globally?
You mean with the internet?
Yeah.
It is great. It's a bit of a mixed blessing though, because it does mean now that if you're an artist and things start to go well, you're getting exposure, and often the same amount of grassroots exposure all over the world at exactly the same time. My schedule is pretty much insane because people want to get into it, and a lot of people have gotten into it, you know, just through the internet. I mean, we got into the top 10 on download charts in France with 2 songs at the same time, pre-release. We got into the top 10 like in different countries around the world. It's demented. I think it's incredible. It's great. It also means that the music scene has a chance to be a little bit more universal and a little bit less segmented. You know, you can find out about amazing African music and or Brazilian music like CSS, a band like that from Rio that are absolutely incredible. They probably would have gotten a shot in the UK. It's just happening so much faster because of their exposure on the internet, and that's amazing.
Great. Talk a little bit about your website and your artwork and the way you kind of design your kind of look, so to speak, not necessarily your personal look, but can you tell us a little bit about that, what the inspiration is behind that?
The whole look and feel of the project was really important. I wanted it to be, you know, just right, and I started working on it about a year before I started recording my album, which was a bit of a worry for my record company because I had chosen the way that things were going to look, and even like I had invented little cartoon characters like Lollipop Girl and Billy Brown before I had even chosen my producer. So my record company was freaking out. But to me that was irrelevant because it was all part of the same thing, especially with the internet. I mean, you've got such a brilliant platform to get a sort of creative world across. So I wanted this whole kind of Alice in Wonderland world with all these different parts to it and different characters that live in different segments. So you've got Lollipop Girl, who lives in the Emerald Forest, who's based on the song Lollipop, and she spends her whole life being chased by monkeys who are after her lollipop, in particular one called Choo Choo, and she has no idea why. Then you've got Billy Brown, who's married with kids and a wife and everything, and a kind of perfect suburban life, and then he falls in love with another guy, runs off to Mexico because he can't deal with anything, and his entire world kind of falls apart, and he has a little bit of a nervous breakdown. And now he's hiding in Mexico, and the whole point is you have to find where he's hiding next. So, I mean, it's demented, it's pointless, like all really fun things are, and what a great platform to do that with than with pop music.
Do you think it represents your personality, or the songs, or a bit of both, would you say?
It certainly represents the personality of this album. Maybe by the next album it's going to feel and look completely different, and that's part of the challenge of the next album, kind of seeing what other kind of world you can create. There are no limits, and that's brilliant. That's the funnest part of it.
Can we talk a little bit about Grace Kelly, because it just exploded, didn't it? Was it feel like all your dreams had come true overnight?
It didn't feel like all my dreams came.
Sorry, could I just ask you to include Grace Kelly in there?
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. It's okay.
As far as the success of Grace Kelly is concerned, it's incredible because I really did write it as an anger song against the whole industry, and for it to kind of help me break. Also, the fact that I broke with Grace Kelly on the strength of downloads alone, and downloads being the part of the industry that's typically anarchic, kind of doubles the irony of the whole situation. I didn't feel like it happened overnight, though, simply because of the amount I was involved, and I am involved, with the whole online thing. I mean, I was communicating with people for so long, for quite a few months before the single actually came out. So I kind of got that vibe. To tell you the truth, when I got to like the 30th email from some person around the world who was just kind of telling me how much they were into the song, that's when I started to get really excited. Getting to #1 was just kind of like proof of the pudding, you know? The fact that all these emails that I was getting, all this kind of like online fake communication. I mean, it's real, but I couldn't tell if it was real because it was just happening on my computer. It wasn't happening anywhere else. It was just the weirdest thing to go through. I'd walk out, I'd go to the shops, and no one would have any idea what was going on. And then I'd open my computer, and there's this whole kind of buzz and world happening. It was just the weirdest thing to go through for a few months. But the fact that then it did kind of, you know, materialize into something a little bit more real, that was incredible. It was the real icing on the cake. And it's still the very beginning. We've still got a long way to go, and that's the funnest part of it.
So #1 album. Yeah, the single's still #1, isn't it? This week it's still #1, isn't it?
As of Sunday, it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you feel about it now? Because it's
Gone to #2.
5-6 weeks later, is it? How do you feel about it now, and what does the future hold for Mika?
Grace Kelly has been #1 for 5 weeks. I really hope it takes a bow, quite frankly, because I've got to move on. No, it's a blessing, and I'm very lucky. It's still the beginning, and I've got a long way to go. There's so much more to come with this album and with the whole performance aspect of it and the whole live thing. I mean, as far as live shows are concerned and the whole production of a live show, I'm just at the very beginning. Love Today is the next single, and just did a video for that, and I kind of worked with the same director again, Sophie Muller, who did Grace Kelly video, and it was very important to kind of keep things from where they had come from. So we've got recurring characters like the little girl and the old ladies that were in the Grace Kelly video are back in the Love Today video, just in different guises. But take things further, and that stands for the entire rest of my career, you know? Kind of like keep things where they're coming from, but just push them and develop them further every single time. Visually and concept-wise and technically, and just kind of keep going further and further. That's the funnest part of it. I wouldn't want to be doing this job if it was just flat the whole time. Got to take some risks every single day.